Welcome back to the channel. This film documents a trip across Canada that a few friends and I went on in 2021. Our starting point was Montreal, Quebec, and we went all the way to the west coast of Vancouver Island in British Columbia. I know, we didn't make it to the Far East, I'm so sorry Maritimers. We drove across Canada in 7 days. Day 1, Montreal, Quebec to Thunder Bay, Ontario. Day 2, Thunder Bay to Moosomin, Saskatchewan. Day 3, Moosomin to Calgary, Alberta. Day 4, Calgary to Banff, Alberta. Day 5, Banff to Vernon, British Columbia. Day 6, Vernon to Vancouver, British Columbia. Well, technically Richmond, but let's say Vancouver. Day 7, Vancouver to Tofino on Vancouver Island. Once we got out west, we started staying several days at some of the spots, but we were driving relentlessly from Montreal to Calgary. Here I'm just counting the days of driving, and I'm excluding the days of rest and hiking. This was a skookum adventure, so let's get going, eh? It's June of 2021 and me and a few friends are heading out to BC on a road trip. It's gonna be an exciting road trip, probably lots of arguments, but also climbing mountains and seeing the ocean. Should be a great time. Got the Kia here. It's about 7 in the morning and we're just heading out of Montreal with the boys here, with Noah, Ricky, Denzer, and Milo there. On the road for 13-14 hours, so it's a 17-hour drive to Thunder Bay and just cutting out around half the drive in one day. So Ricky, how's the long day in the car, you know? Like,
oh, it's just pretty rough, bud. Getting there.
Yeah.
Gonna get some good night's sleep tonight.
Foggy driving here on the way to Wawa, on the way to Thunder Bay still, past Lake Superior, Lake Huron.
Canadian Shield. That's what's really
good. So we're in Wawa, Ontario, and I think this is the largest Canada goose in the world. It's dusk already, but I hope you could appreciate that. Yeah, I guess
get
so.
some sleep tonight, you know?
Wait, now how many hours? 14 hours?
It's probably been...
A room in Thunder Bay, Ontario. We just spent the first night here. So the room has a couple queen-size beds here, but there was no 5th bed like they promised, so we ended up having to get them to bring up a little cot at almost 5 in the morning last night. So anyways, it's about 11 now and we're just checking out. We're heading to the Ontario-Manitoba border and we're heading to Saskatchewan tonight. So it's about a 10-hour drive, so hopefully we can just get it done with no problem.
Drove you through thick fog for 4 hours. This is how you repay me.
Yeah, man.
Shitting on my driving. Oh, I drive.
Basically, before we were in the boreal forest kind of thing that went through Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and now halfway through Manitoba it seems as though the prairies are basically starting, so it's nice to see the changes of scenery. everybody. It's day 3 of the trip. We just spent the second night here in Moosomin, Saskatchewan, and got Moose in the name. Ricky, how was your sleep last night?
Oh, I actually slept pretty well, bud.
Unlike Noah, who slept on the ground right here. So we've been driving on the highway for the past couple days, and we've just been hitting so many bugs, so you can really see how caked on they are here. The roof rack is the place where the bugs really got out of hand.
You got crackers for the pate, right? Just get a little card.
About halfway through Saskatchewan, heading to Alberta. We're gonna check out that dinosaur spot.
Those are pretty cool.
Did a good sleep last night, right?
Nope.
Decent night's sleep. About to head to Banff today. Saying goodbye to Calgary. About to see some pristine views out here, bud.
So we're in downtown Canmore, and we just stopped at Craig's Family Restaurant.
Pancakes. Any of that.
I know Ruth has some good enchiladas.
So we're gonna buy some maple syrup.
Reminds me of Peru when I was thinking.
Chill.
Coffee, hot days.
Eggs.
It reminds me of. Oh yeah, look at that view body.
Every time I go to work and get a hot cup, you know, it's like. Buttery biscuits, please.
Benny?
Oh, I got the Benny.
Craig's Benny.
Craig's Benny for the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to maple syrup?
Yo, can I film you boys?
No more right out. No. A little bit of glacier water for the boys?
Out here in the Rocky Mountains.
guys. You guys got to get out here, you know, take the drive, you know. Big elk over here. There's a big elk over here. Maybe a moose, so I think it's a big elk. Little warm-up hike today, little 5 mile.
We're also in the middle of a heat wave. It's about 35 degrees today, so I put the hat on. We're at the top of the mountain.
Should we keep on trekking it, boys?
Just below the top of the mountain, there's some red comfy chairs here. It's about 35 degrees Celsius. It's super hot up here.
Finished up this hike here at the top, about to hike it down, and we're going straight to Lake Louise for a nice cool off.
So we just got to Lake Louise parking lot. We're just walking down. The water's really cold here, so during a heat wave like this, it's just where everybody flocks to.
I'm gonna finish off my drink before I send it in, but then I'll send it in.
Fucking.
Oh! That's hands down the coldest lake I've ever swam in.
Oh, yeah. Cheers, boys!
Cheers!
Let's go. Cheers, boys!
There's a lot of nice rocks. Like, I'm looking at the ground, seeing a lot of nice rocks.
Oh yeah.
We love Alberta. Let's go Oilers.
So we should stay here for... No, he just told me I shared my location with him. Woo! Woo!
You know what the worst thing is having bites on your wrist?
Now we're heading westward. We're gonna do some hikes in the Moosomin Mountains. Driving through the Rockies. Alright, we're on the highway. We just crossed into BC. Noah and Ricky in the back. It's the first time ever being in BC in their lives.
We're out here pretty exhausted, pretty beat from multiple days of driving and no sleep, but feeling amazing and ready.
Tired, eh?
Oh, pretty tired, bud.
Looking up into the northern Moosomin Mountains.
It's odd, eh?
Just got a fish here.
Got my first fish.
Ricky just caught his first fish.
Beautiful.
Let's go. First fish, boys.
As we headed back after fishing on the lake, the surrounding valley had become socked in with thick storm clouds. The lightning started on the valley beyond the lake, but the thick bank of clouds quickly moved westward onto the lake. As the eye of the storm moved towards us, showers of sheet lightning cascaded onto the surrounding mountains and eventually onto the surface of the lake below, lighting up the sky with impressive bolts and branches of lightning. There's nothing quite as humbling as being the witness to a truly monumental thunderstorm. Yeah, it depends how much you want to try and drive up. About 30 minutes after we started the hike, I realized that we started from the wrong parking lot. I knew that the proper trail started just across Sugar Creek. I thought it was safe enough to cut through the forest, cross the creek, then come upon the real logging road that goes up to the top of Sugar Mountain.
That's really wet. Right here.
Little detour, and now we're back on the right trail.
It was like this big.
No, look at that.
How you feeling?
Too much haram for me, but
Pretty tired, but you know what? I think we can do this.
In 2018, there was a huge forest fire right up here.
One rolling stick each?
I feel like some scarlet by the sun.
You look right beside your foot first. There's a small on your right.
Smaller tracks. Right?
Smaller one right here, bigger one right here.
Definitely a big.
Oh no! Oh no!
Pup in the right mind takes their children.
Want some more water? We made it. Was that the hardest hike you ever did in your life?
Oh, by far. By far. Nothing even close. That's ridiculous.
Finally made it to the hut. This is a lifesaver. Huge horse flies here. Oh my god. Oh boy. That's huge. Show them.
It's a big boy.
We need cheese for dinner.
Was that grabbing cheese? This bread is actually really nice.
I wouldn't be against falling asleep at 8 p.m. tonight.
Still working on my recovery right here.
Rick, you need some water, bud.
If you don't fall asleep at 8 p.m.
It's like whack-a-mole. Kill
The
him.
bag smells like a root. You don't care if your camera here. I'm gonna grab
Near
some.
where the handle of the bag is.
Although we arrived at the top of the mountain with enough water, about 1 or 2 liters per person, we realized that especially if we wanted to cook, we were going to have to get some more water somehow. As it would take at least 2 hours to hike to the nearest water source, we decided to collect and heat up some snow using our portable stove.
Hey, what are you doing there, bud?
Oh, I'm just cooking up some snow.
Not many mosquitoes, huh?
Not too many mosquitoes, eh?
I'd say barely any.
Yeah, this net, unnecessary net. Right
Oh.
here. This net.
Oh, we should just take
really should just take them off, boys. Like, what's the point? Dude, it's fine.
Before we finally went to bed, we enjoyed each other's company and the warmth of the fire. As we were trying to sleep though, we realized that one of the window panes was slightly broken. Broken enough that mosquitoes can fly in the night and bite us. As you can imagine, we didn't have the best night's sleep of all time. As it was a relatively clear night, I decided to set up my camera to do a time-lapse of the night sky. Only months after the hike did I actually look at the footage. The next morning, Denzer and I woke up early because of the sunlight shining into the hut. We decided to go on a walk to check out the sunrise. The rest of the group soon woke up and joined us as well. So far in my life, I've never seen a sunrise as beautiful as the one I saw that morning.
Most incredible sunrise I've seen in a long time. I don't think it's probably the most beautiful sunrise I've seen. Wow.
Up in there to look at the sunrise, but I knew it was gonna be there.
Yeah, 4:30 or so.
Oh, boys, I'd be down to get down this mountain ASAP. Get away from these
like Milo
fucking
today.
mosquitoes.
Look at that view though, man.
Did you have a good sleep?
Oh no. But I did manage to fall asleep when I thought I wouldn't be able to, and that primed me up for this morning. But I think maximum to 3 hours.
Oh, not the best sleep I've ever had in my entire life, but got at least about 5.5 hours to be able to make it down.
The kind of jagged triangular peak to the left of it is Thor.
What do you want to do when you get back?
I want to eat food. I want to drink coffee. I gotta drop a deuce. And take a nap. And maybe go swimming.
In the aftermath of this hike, our friend Ricky developed a strange toe injury on the pinky toe of his left foot. At first we thought it might have been a hairline fracture. We thought it might have been an infection caused by an ingrown toenail on the hike, but we didn't know for sure, so we thought that we should really take Ricky to the doctor. Over a period of about 2 weeks, we went to 2 different doctors, one in Vernon and one in Kelowna, who both misdiagnosed him and said it was a hairline fracture, when in fact the whole time it was an infection. Due to the incompetence of the doctors we saw, later on in the trip, the infection on Ricky's toe would swell up so much that it would experience a fate that best not be described on YouTube. Ricky was forced to hobble around on crutches for several months. What do you think of islands?
Oh, islands are pretty cool.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
A few days after getting down from Sugar Mountain, Ricky's toe was not doing well, but a couple of us really wanted to go up a mountain. We decided that Milo and Ricky would stay behind, and Noah, Denzer, and I would continue up Mount Fosthall.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't make it, and I was really excited for this hike, but shit happens.
The story involves camping on beautiful alpine lakes, Just a little bit up from the lake right here. You can see it just over here, but beautiful spot. Jumping over raging creeks. Walking up steep glaciers on the way to the summit. I'm not excited for the way back down. Here at the top of Mount Fosthall. 2,697 meters, around 9,000 feet, nestled in the heart of the Moosomin Mountains. There's actually a forest fire going on over there. Fire over there. This is the highest elevation you've been at, eh?
Yeah, definitely by far the highest I've ever been. No pun intended.
Mount Fraser, August 10th, 1928. We marveled at the colossal peaks and the jagged ridges of the Moosomin Mountains. Seeing the vast expanse of the cosmos above us. And even driving past raging forest fires that nearly had us stuck in the woods. This was our journey up Mount Fosthall. So today we're on Jade Beach in Vernon, BC on Kalamalka Lake here. One of my buddies got a swollen toe. Alright, so Ricky's foot here is quite solidly injured.
That toe right there.
The size of that pinky toe right there.
Pinky toe's the second biggest toe.
Compared to the size of that toe.
Oh, it was really painful. It's still very painful.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how swollen would you say it is?
It's about a 9. It's swelling to the point where I don't think it can swell anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, see what the doctor says and hopefully we can fix it up.
Yeah, hopefully we can fix it right up. Fresh Okanagan cherries. So while we're waiting for Ricky to get into the walk-in clinic, we're hanging out here on Jade Beach. Do a light toss.
Light toss?
Oh.
So close. Oh, what a... Oh, shit! Oh, yeah, bud. Oh, water's nice, you know? And right in between that cold and hot, you know, perfect. After doctors in Vernon and in Kelowna both misdiagnosed Ricky's worsening foot injury, we made our way to the rugged northwest coast to our final destination of the trip, Tofino. 6 hours of driving later, we got to Vancouver and we spent the night there.
The next morning we got up and we made our way to the ferry terminal. To get to Vancouver Island from Vancouver, you can either take the ferry from Horseshoe Bay in North Vancouver over to Nanaimo, or you can take the ferry from Tsawwassen, which is just south of Vancouver, over to Victoria. The ferry we took passed through the Strait of Georgia on the Salish Sea, and if you're lucky enough, you can see dolphins, porpoises, or even humpbacks and orcas well on the boat.
Hello.
How does it feel to have some proper crutches?
Oh, much better. Much better. Can actually get around, go to the bathroom without hurting myself. It's a blessing.
And these are some not bad crutches right here.
Oh, not too bad at all. Free from the hospital.
Free from the hospital, eh?
Free from the hospital. What a place.
You're a changed man.
Changed.
Fast food that they've come.
Out here on the water.
A little chilly, a little windy.
After Diego joined us in Vancouver, there were too many people to fit in the Kia, so I invited my friend Chase from middle school to join us on a trip up to Tofino.
There's usually people going nuts down this road though. I usually keep it chiller.
Diego and I drove up with Chase, and that meant that the rest of the boys in the Kia finally wouldn't have to fight over the middle seat.
And I just bombed it like 120 the whole way. It was great.
It's a sick highway.
It was fun, yeah. It was really fun.
So we just stopped in Cowichan Bay.
Before starting on the long and winding road that leads up to Tofino in Ucluelet, we stopped at Englishman River Falls on the way to see one of my favorite waterfalls. This is located north of Nanaimo, about an hour's drive.
Alright, so we're here at Cathedral Grove, and these are just some really huge trees. Closest thing to Canada's redwoods.
These are so huge. It boggles my fucking mind.
Massive Douglas fir here. So the plaque there just said that these plants are called Devil's Club. They're awful and spiky. You don't want to put your hand on these. Nice and cold water over here. Oh, that's cold. He's in the flip-flops. Massive.
Cathedral Grove in McMillan Provincial Park is home to some of the finest old-growth trees to be found anywhere in Canada. It is sometimes compared to Redwood National Park down in California, and rightly so, because the monumental Douglas fir and cedar trees here jet up into the sky and are truly awesome to behold.
How tall are you?
6'2".
So Diego is 6'2".
Well, it's kind of slanty here.
Forests like this were once found across much of Vancouver Island, but intensive logging has decimated these old-growth trees. Even well into the 21st century, the BC government continues to fail to protect these trees, putting short-term profits from logging over the ecosystems and the tourism potential for these trees.
I'm gonna charge you.
Not all logging is bad, of course,
Massive tree, eh?
but knowingly cutting the few remaining old-growth forests left is shameful. A report by Price, Doust, and Holt found that as of 2020, between 1.5 to 3.3% of old-growth trees remain in British Columbia, and despite this, the BC government continues to fail to protect them. Conservation photographer T.J. Watts documented the scale of this destruction in a photo series called Haikus Before and After. The work speaks for itself. Douglas fir trees can live up to 1,200 years, and red cedars can live up to 1,000 years. See more of his pieces in the description.
pulling up on our destination right here.
Alright boys, cheers eh? Fucking cheers bud.
When I was younger, I'd go on trips to Tofino with my dad and family, and often we'd stop at this beautiful river spot to take in the views and have a picnic. As we were traveling in 2 vehicles, I thought we might as well meet up there on the way and hang out for a bit. Tofino and Ucluelet have become tourist hotspots lying on the storm-pounded shores of the west coast of Vancouver Island, the northwest coast of the Pacific. Tofino is a fishing village with absolutely scenic views that has become extremely touristy and expensive. Ucluelet is about an hour's drive away from Tofino and is only slightly less touristy. When you're in Tofino, you look west and you know that there's only ocean between the shores you stand on and the shores of China, Japan, and Russia. After spending a night in Tofino, we were all extremely excited to start surfing, celebrating the fact that we just made it from Montreal all the way to the west coast.
Like 12 people.
Her husband saw a black bear, and she was like, "Oh, it's a black bear. It's one of the chiller ones." So he gets a black bear to go and like sit in his car in the front seat.
No.
And takes a picture of it, and then just fucking mauls his wife.
Alright, so we're on Mackenzie Beach near Tofino, BC. It's a pretty cloudy day here. We're all a bit tired, but we're checking out this nice walk here.
The west coast of Vancouver Island is classified as a temperate rainforest, and in fact, just below 25% of the temperate rainforests of the entire world are found in British Columbia.
What a spot here, eh? Oh, you made it, Chase. Not the Shroom Island.
Fuck you, boys.
Go around there? There will be more spots like this though. Yeah. Pretty safe.
Here, Mikey.
Like the only sketch thing is like right here.
So we're here in Long Beach, near Tofino. Wow. What a spot right here.
Tofino is one of the wettest locations in Canada. Throughout the year in Tofino, there are 174 days of rainfall, with an annual amount of 3,270 millimeters of rainfall. And if you compare that to Victoria to the south, for example, Victoria only has 607 millimeters of rainfall per year.
So after a long day of traveling, we just arrived at this Airbnb campsite called the Medicine Farm near Ucluelet. We're waiting on the other 2 cars to come, but we're gonna have a good night here, just hang out and have a good time. All right, so these are the boards that we rented out here at a surf shop in Ucluelet.
Oh, it's tough. It is not easy getting out of a wetsuit.
I had the wetsuit on the wrong way before, so now we got it straightened out. So Ricky, it turns out you actually had an infection, eh?
Oh yeah, bad one, bud.
Bad infection.
Other hospitals sucked. They put Ricky in the situation he's in right now.
They're doing this because they found out Ricky doesn't pay taxes.
So you're gonna be here for the next few days, just receiving some treatment from the hospital, eh?
Yep, fucking filling up the arm.
Yeah.
More antibiotics. Keeping an eye on the toe.
Well, let's hope for a speedy recovery.
That's all we can hope for.
Like, I wish I had. This one's too long for me. Look how long this is. Look how little I am.
Yeah, the long is good, especially for waves.
Further from the rocks.
I think a better way to tie it.
Yeah, well, I mean, without a strap, like, it's not good because it'll cut your circulation.
The wetsuit's already doing that.
So Chase had to head back down island early, and since we were too many to all of us fit in the 5 seats of the Kia, another one of my buddies I knew from growing up on the island, Dimitri, drove up to Tofino alone and ended up giving me a lift back down island. So after practicing for a while and getting hit by many big waves, I finally managed to stand upright on the board and ride a couple waves. And it's a great feeling riding a wave, but it was definitely a steep learning curve out there on my first day. I'd love to do it again some other time.
Ooh, that was fun. It's definitely fun out here. Beautiful. Here at the Parksville Beach, this is one of the nicest beaches to swim in Canada. As it warms up throughout the entire day and the tide comes in, water on the hot sand just makes this beach very warm to swim in.
Milo, Noah, Ricky, Diego, and Denzer all drove back to Montreal, the 5 of them packed in the car. I thought I should ask Ricky if he wanted to tell his own story himself. This is what he had to say.
Oh, bud. The story of the toe is a rough one. You know, we do the hike. Everything feels fine. Yeah, it was a tough hike, you know, but nothing too bad. We hike back down the next day. Still feeling okay. Nothing's too bad. Take a nap. That's when the toe starts to feel infected. Now, obviously, at this point, I don't know it's infected, so I don't really know exactly what to do. I think it might be fractured. It might be ingrown toenail. All I know is it hurts and it's red. Of course, we all know we ended up going to the first hospital. I think was it like 4 or 5 days? It was about 4 or 5 days. We went to the first hospital, and I said to the doctor, I was like, I think it's either fracture or ingrown toenail that's causing me the pain. And he looks at it and he touches it quickly and basically just repeats right back to me, yeah, it's probably just an ingrown toenail or possibly a fracture. So, basically paid $100 to get the same information I already thought back to me. And of course, now, in retrospect, as we know, it was wrong. Get back to where we're staying in the cabin. It starts getting worse and worse, and so, the other boys, they decided to go on a hike, and luckily Milo decided to stick around with me because it was too bad for me to do a hike, and I couldn't really take care of myself, couldn't really walk around. Yeah, unfortunately I can't make it, and I was really excited for this hike, but, shit happens. I decided to build some crutches because, I couldn't get around and I didn't have crutches, so I built some out of sticks, and those worked for a bit, but when my first attempt at using them, I go and I swing my foot really hard and I slam it into one of the crutches and it starts to bruise. So then this bruise starts to spread and then the whole thing starts to turn multicolored. It's purple, it's yellow, it's red. It's disgusting. At this point, it ends up becoming about the size of my big toe, and it's my left pinky toe, So anyway, we end up going to a second hospital not too long after that because, it looked god awful. And at this point, we kind of suspect it might be infected, but we're still not sure. So we get to the hospital. They take a look at it. They take x-rays. They tell me, everything's good. It's not fractured. It's nothing like that. And then just before they finish, they're like, actually, we think it's possible that it's infected. So the doctor decides to try and pop it. Now keep in mind, I am in agonizing pain at all times. Like, I have not stopped having pain. I've been taking painkillers nonstop and nothing has worked. I couldn't sleep or anything because I was just in constant pain. And so she takes a look at it and she tries to pop it and she squeezes it, and it is one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life, is her trying to pop it. And so she stops and she's like, it's not popping, so it's not infected. So I'm like, okay, well, I've been wolfing down painkillers like crazy, just Tylenol. Can you give me something else? And she's like, if you're taking Tylenol, just take Advil with it. I'm like, Jesus, I have to take more painkillers on top of this? All right. Start taking them. And then also before we leave, I'm like, can I at least get some crutches since I can't walk right now? And so they gave me crutches. So that was nice at least. We continued driving. At this point, we're heading to Tofino to go meet my buddies at this campground at a lake. So we get all the way out there. Finally, we get there, and of course, the tow is not getting any better. And when we finally meet my buddies, they're like, we didn't realize how bad it was. We didn't know you were on crutches. Like, there's a good little hike to get to where our campsite is. So I'm like, Jesus. And people keep coming up to me and asking, like, seeing my crutches and asking me, like, how the hell did you get here? And I just told them I would take the trail like everybody else. They're like, that is insane. Kind of try and forget about it. Telling a lot of people the story anyway. Go to sleep that night. Probably the best night's sleep I'd gotten all in the 2 weeks that it was getting worse and worse. Wake up the next morning, and all the pressure that had been building up just kind of feels like it's gone for some reason, but I don't know why, right? And at this point, the boys have said, you should look at your foot, you should look at your toe. And I'm like, nah, I really just don't feel like looking at it right now, guys. I know it's bad. I don't feel like looking at it. So I'm sitting by the fire, and I've got my white socks on, and I've got my foot up by the fire. And one of my buddies, Dylan, takes a look at my foot. Is there blood on your sock? And I'm looking at him. I think he's just fucking with me. So I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. It's not funny. Like, this is bad. And he's like, nah, I know. I'm not kidding. Of course, I flip my foot up, and I take a look, and the whole underside of my sock, where my toes are, is just bloody. And I'm like, oh no, this is bad. What happened? So I take off the sock, and of course inside, this is graphic content warning, inside the sock is just pus and blood, and like the most I've ever seen. So I take off the sock, I'm looking at the toe, and it had exploded overnight while I was sleeping. It had literally popped, and it looked dead. It was white, exploded open, pus and blood everywhere. I don't really know what to do. I'm at this point kind of fully accepting that I've lost the toe. Like, they're gonna cut it off. It's the only way to save my foot, So, and I remember my cousin Noah taking a look at it and just walking away. And I look at him in the distance, and he looks white as a ghost, and he shakes his head, and he just starts vomiting because it's just too much, realizing the gravity of the situation, Of course, I also realized I have to do the hike back to the car, even after my toe had exploded. So we rush down to the hospital. Now, keep in mind, this is the third hospital we've gone to. So we get there, and the nurse takes a look at it and immediately brings me right into a room. She's like, oh, this is bad. Like, we need to take care of this now. So they put me right in a room. The first thing they asked me is, so why did it take you so long to come to the hospital? Like, this is clearly a really bad infection. And I said to them, this is the third hospital I've been to, and they were flabbergasted that neither of the other two hospitals noticed that it was an infection. And so right away, they get on it, they start cleaning it. Shout out to Tofino Hospital, you guys were great. Sleep there that night with an IV in my arm. And they swabbed it, and they were testing it, because if it was a bone infection, they didn't have the means to take care of that, as well as the fact that I would probably have lost at least my foot, potentially my leg, potentially my life. So I would have been heli evac to another hospital to have been taken care of for that. Wake up the next morning, they tell me my test came in. It was just a skin infection. It was just very deep, and that's why it got so bad. Friends come pick me up. I had to return to the hospital 4 days back to back every single morning. Had to leave the IV in my arm throughout my day. And then when I'd come back to the hospital, they would just plug it back in. And also, we would go to the beaches while the boys would be surfing. I'd be lying on the beach, just burning in the sun because I couldn't move. And I wouldn't want to get sand in my toe, so I would just be lying in one position. Anyway, I ended up getting really bad sunburns. I was on crutches, it was a bad, not a great time for me. And my toe was still fucked, but at least at this point it had been cleaned and I could take care of it, Luckily, at least on the ride back, the boys allowed me to sit in the front seat the entire time, because I needed space for my foot.
After the trip ended and we all got back to Montreal, Ricky was hobbling around on crutches for around 5 months. And that's a long time considering it could have been prevented if we just put some disinfectant on his toe, but mainly if the doctors we went to knew what they were talking about.